All right, and we are live. So welcome back, everyone, to another episode of PyTorch Community Voices. This is a weekly webinar where members of the PyTorch community come on and get to showcase how they're using PyTorch or what they've built using PyTorch. And again, my name is Jessica Lin. I'm a Facebook developer advocate here, focused on our open source AI ML projects. And today, I'm really excited to bring on two of our guests. We have Seth, who is a Microsoft Cloud Advocate and also the host of the always lively and educational The AI Show. So be sure to check that out after this. As well as Maryanne, who is a structural engineer turned software developer who is a member of PyLadies. And so they'll be on today to discuss our newly released PyTorch Fundamentals, which is a tutorial content on MS Learn, as well as we'll discuss PyLadies, which is an international mentorship group for women in the open source Python community. And so for those of you tuning in, this is a really beginner-friendly show. So be sure to ask your questions, invite friends and family who are interested to learn more about PyTorch. And so without further ado, let me bring on Seth and Maryanne. All right. Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Hi.
Hey, so how about, would you guys mind introducing yourself and maybe also what's your favorite flavor of pie? I figure I'll just throw that in there. Ooh, Seth was thinking about it.
Maryanne, you want to go first? Or do you need more pie?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm getting a crazy echo actually that I'm having issues with.
Oh no.
For whose mic?
Is it? I'll go first.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'm not hearing an echo, but maybe it's just because the extra voices in my head, I'm just kidding. I don't have extra voices in my head. My name is Seth Juarez. I lead developer advocacy for AI and machine learning at Microsoft. Our job is to empower every developer and data scientist to be successful with AI on the cloud. And we do that through 3 strategic actions. We create content, we refine our products, and we grow community. So basically, we are outbound in the sense that we're here to help people do AI, and we're inbound in the sense that we complain to our product people if stuff doesn't work the way we think it does. And one of the coolest things that we get to work with, obviously, is PyTorch. And so my favorite pie, I don't know if I like pie. Are you a pie person? Now everyone's like, oh, geez. Who's this guy? Are you a pie person, Jessica?
I do. I like pie. I think I like pie over cake. Oh,
I know. I like key lime pie. That's the one.
That's, okay.
I was thinking of like apple pie, or like those other pies where you want to eat it and you put it in your mouth and it's like the fires of Hades on your tongue. That's what I was remembering the last time I had pie. That's probably why I had a negative reaction. And you know what I mean? Like the pie comes out of the oven, it's lovely. And then you put it on your mouth and fires of Hades on your tongue. So key lime pie, because that never happened.
No, that's true. What about you, Maryanne?
Yeah, so my intro, my name is Maryanne Wachter. I am a structural engineer and also a software developer, currently doing independent freelance work. And I am an active member of PyLadies. I've been a member of PyLadies since about 2014. Participated in a couple of different groups around the world. And as Jessica said, PyLadies is an international mentorship organization to get more women involved within the open source community for Python. And that's something that I've been able to do as a member of PyLadies. And also, okay, so my favorite pie, I am a sucker for sour cherry pie. I grew up in Louisiana, and there aren't that many sour cherries there. But when I moved to the Northeast, one of the things my dad did was planted a bunch of sour cherry trees so that we could enjoy many sour cherry pies.
Oh, wow. All year round. Also, I don't know about if you're hearing it differently, Seth, but I think after you put the mic in, it's actually harder to hear than when you didn't have the mic, Maryanne.
Yeah, it's a little hard to hear.
But we can take care of that. Do you want to try? Can you still hear us if you unplug it? If you took out the mic?
Audio issues are
Audio issues, sorry, people. I know. Okay, so how about we'll take care of that. We'll try to take care of that backstage.
Is that better?
Yeah, that is a lot better.
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
You're also hearing a lot better. So.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay, so whatever you did resolved it. Thanks for doing that.
We're all engineers here. We just do things on the fly.
Exactly. This is a demonstration of the prowess. All right, so for today's show, I think the format's going to be a little bit different. So typically, our presenters do a presentation, and then we have a QA session. But for today, we're actually going to ask audiences to just ask your questions throughout it. So Seth will be doing a presentation about PyTorch Fundamentals, and then Maryanne will come in and talk about PyLadies, and then Seth will do a demo of one of the modules at the end. So this will be kind of an ongoing presentation. So please ask your questions about any part of the segment as we're going along. So with that, I'm going to take us back screen. And if you're ready, Seth, I'll put the presentation up.
I am ready to go. I am super excited.
All right.
Somebody made these slides and they are delicious.
Nice. We're going to carry this.
Let's talk about PyTorch Fundamentals on MS Learn. My name is Seth Juarez. I am a cloud developer advocate at Microsoft. Maryanne is here also from PyLadies. They're amazing. We're very grateful to everything they did. This is what we're going to talk about, the collaboration on content, learn the basics and the MS Learning path. We're going to talk about contributing to open source at Microsoft. We're super excited about PyTorch. We think it's a wonderful, wonderful framework. And I've done all frameworks. I've looked at TensorFlow. I've looked at PyTorch. PyTorch to me I like because I started as a developer, and then I went to grad school and did research in machine learning and AI, and just PyTorch really like helps me as a programmer do the right things. We'll talk about some of the contributions that we're making to open source, and then we'll do some of the notebooks on MS Learn. It's a new feature that we've recently added, and then obvi. Q&A throughout. I want to hear any questions that you may or may not have. Even if you think it's a dumb question, there's no dumb questions, only dumb answers. And you will see that's the case when I answer some. All right, so Learn the Basics is a tutorial we co-authored with the PyTorch folks. Let me show it to you here. If you go to pytorch.org, and if this is your home, it's fantastic. If you go to tutorials, you're going to see this Learn the Basics. And the idea with this is we wanted to make sure that folks, for example, that use Microsoft Cloud or any cloud have a really good understanding of what are the fundamentals of PyTorch in order to orient yourself to what you want to do. And we get into, we wrote some stuff on tensors, data sets and data loaders, transforms, models, autograd, optimization, save and load the model, all that goodness. Like, for example, if you go to autograd, you'll start to see, the basic, this is like the basic perceptron with a loss function, right? You see that right there. And then we go through and talk about what is PyTorch actually doing? Because PyTorch is fantastic in the way that it stores gradients inside of the produced tensors from operations, and then it backtracks it along the way, which is fantastic. And so you'll see all of this stuff in here. And we spent, I don't know, a couple months working on this together with Siraj and some other folks in the PyTorch team, and it was just delightful. And we thought, it would be cool if you could click into this and do more stuff. Like if you could actually play with it. And that's where this next PyTorch Fundamentals learning path came about. Because we thought, Learn the Basics is so good. But oftentimes people, when they are looking for a solution, they're not like, man, I'd sure love to learn about tensors and stochastic gradient descent. That's not what people do unless you're weird like me. Most people are like, I think I have a vision problem that I want to solve with deep learning, or I have a natural language processing problem that I have with, a different language, or I have an audio problem that I think I can solve with deep learning and PyTorch. And so we thought, why not take the Learn the Basics stuff that we build and then build upon that in a guided sort of experience. And if you look at it, it's really just up there. I feel like I could literally just do this. So for example, if I were to go to the tensors one and click on it, you can see that it would take me directly to the tensors PyTorch Fundamentals the section. But if you look at it, we have the entire PyTorch Fundamentals, and I made it really big so everyone can see it. There's all of these modules are in here for you to learn, and it's completely free. So you don't have to pay anything other than maybe reading something that I might have written, which has a cost. So, yeah. And so basically the learn the basic stuff is exactly the same in the first module. The introduction to PyTorch is the same stuff because we wrote this. We're like, why not just use it? We think it's good. Siraj liked it. The folks at PyTorch liked it. So why not use the same thing? You can see it's exactly the same text. The only difference is now you can actually play with it. And that's the difference, I think, that matters. And then you have a certain amount of time to finish it because there's compute and there are GPUs that you're using. Oh, I forgot to push this one here. Like you see, it's all actually literal notebooks. So let me shift enter on these ones before I forget. Otherwise, it's going to be mad at me. And you can see it's basically the tensors are in here. You can play with it. You can look at that, and so on and so forth. So we're going to get into a demo of that a little bit later. But one of the things we wanted to do, and this was super important to us, is we wanted to make sure that the content was actually useful. And so we were super grateful that the PyLadies New York City chapter would be gracious enough to spend a couple of hours with us once a week for 4 weeks, going through every one of these particular modules. And now I got to sit in on a couple of them. It was absolutely wonderful, delightful people that were super engaged and really eager to learn this stuff. And so it was awesome. And I think this is where I think we should talk about PyLadies a little bit more.
Yeah,
why don't you tell us about PyLadies?
Yeah, so as we've mentioned, PyLadies is an international mentorship organization, and the idea is to get more women into Python and the open source community within Python. So I have been a member since 2014, but PyLadies itself has been around since 2011. And one of the great things that I've benefited from in multiple locations, because there are over 100, there are well over 100 different PyLadies chapters. So I've been able to benefit from participating in study groups. That was one of the particularly great monthly study groups that the New York group held. I've also participated in open source sprints through PyLadies. So I was able to get sort of my first official open source commits done through PyLadies to actually scikit-learn. And then they also will do workshops for getting feedback for submitting to different conferences. Like I did a conference proposal for PyGotham last fall, and I was able to workshop it with the PyLadies community and actually get feedback and change my abstract a little bit to fit the brief better. And actually I was able to present for the first time at a Python conference through PyGotham. And I really appreciated the feedback that I got from PyLadies. So yeah, one of the great things about PyLadies, especially in the last year, a lot of the events have moved online. So actually I'm no longer in New York, but I'm still able to participate in some of the online events like the study groups with Seth, which were extremely entertaining, to learn more about PyTorch. But you can get involved with PyLadies through following on Twitter. A lot of the other member groups have their own Twitter handles. I actually found out and used PyLadies through the meetups that they do. And then there's also the Slack, which is just in general for all of the PyLadies different member chapters. And within Slack, you can join different groups and different channels to see what events are going on. So that's a little bit about PyLadies and what it's all about.
That's amazing. So did you go? It sounds like you went to some of the sessions. What did you think of the content in general? And then what were some of the things that you learned that you were like, oh, I learned a new thing. I just want to get your feedback because this is all live, so people don't feel any pressure at all. What was it? What was it like? What was the experience like? Did you learn some new stuff? Thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm not primarily someone that is doing machine learning on a day-to-day basis. So I've done a little bit of contribution with scikit-learn, but that's not primarily what I focus on as a software developer. So one of the things I really liked about it was actually having those interactive Jupyter notebooks, because I am somebody that likes to not just read something, but then also be able to sort of tinker with the cells and see what happens when I change something. Like, maybe the text will say, if you change this, the parameters change, but I don't want to trust that. I just want to try it out myself. So, within the sandbox, you're allowed to break things, see what happens if you really screw up the hyperparameters, and then get, it increases your solve time. So that was really helpful to me to sort of get that hands-on and kind of be able to tinker with different parts of the notebooks.
Now, was it the first time you had experimented with PyTorch in general? And what were your thoughts?
Yeah, so it was the first time that I've experimented with PyTorch. I do like that PyTorch is a bit higher level, just because I do like to get to the math a little bit. It's not my first time that I've played around with tensors, but it's definitely packaged very nicely to be able to make sort of modifications, and it is very, I would say, quote unquote Pythonic. So it's just like a much nicer interface than some of the other machine learning packages. Yeah.
I see. Was there like an aha moment of something? Because obviously you have a very technical background in structural engineering, and so the math probably wasn't as scary. But was there an aha moment for you where you're just like, oh, I get what this is?
Yeah. So I guess one of the things that I hadn't really thought about, and the module that we're going to talk about, I really liked the audio classification thing, because I had never really thought about how you could turn, like, everybody knows that you can use machine learning for computer vision, but then the idea of being able to take an audio clip and transforming it into an image, and then doing deep learning with the image, that was really cool.
Awesome. In general, what did you think about the notion of models and how PyTorch did it?
I thought that it's really helpful to be able to see the different components of models and kind of tinker with the different, for me, like tinkering with the different options within models is helpful. I do like that within the notebook, it does give you kind of a default. So like if you don't have time, you can kind of just go straight through it and get like all of the nice answers. But that option of being able to sort of within the cells, use the help function to find out other options that you can enable. I think that's really great.
Fantastic. Well, I think, do you have anything else to add? Otherwise, I wanted to get into this demo and then just get into some questions. What do you think, Maryanne?
That sounds good to me.
Let's do it. So hopefully this started running now, or maybe it's not running. I need to refresh, because what happened is I started this up and I left it running. And one of the things is we don't want people mining Bitcoin or nothing like that. So that's why you'll see that we have some time limits. I've already activated a couple of these sandboxes, and it's very generous, i.e. we're not like we just don't want people to do bad things. Basically, I'm going to start with this one just so you can get a sense for, this takes about 10 seconds to initialize for the first time. I want you to get a sense for what it is that's going on. This is a special implementation of notebooks, but it's still the same, good old notebooks that you know and love. And you'll see that when you run the code, you actually can see the code, and you can change things. So, I mean, you're used to seeing things like this. I don't know, times 3.14159 in honor of pi. These are the jokes, people. But you can see, like, it's all it's all in there, and it's something you can experiment and play with. And that's the thing that I liked about this. I love the way that this is laid out, and I like that we've taken what has been laid out already, and you can go ahead and just play with it here. And there's a bunch more things, but we wanted to get into the audio stuff. I've gone ahead and run all these. You can see we're using Torch Audio. You can get the speech commands. They're downloaded for you already. You can see that we get all from the Torch Audio. We get the folders. You can see the label, and then you can see how the sounds are converted into the tensors. And this is the part that Maryanne was talking about, that we're able to get the audio and generate a waveform from this and then play it. And from this waveform, you can actually start to do some machine learning. So for example, you can see like, what is the sample rate, frequency mapped to time. You can start to test yourself to see if you know the right answer. Let's see if I know the right answers. What do y'all think? What is the sample rate, frequency mapped to time? What is it? Frequency mapped to time, sample rate, and frequency visualized. Okay. Oh man. Is it this one? Yes. So now I get 200 XP that you can use to purchase nothing other than like, wow, I have 200 XP now. And then you can start to see, wow, I need to activate another sandbox. Then you can see some of the other ones and learn a little bit about how to do stuff with waveforms. And notice that this isn't like, how should I put it? This isn't like a fake problem. This is a real problem that we're using that's part of the samples inside of Torch Audio. And again, it's free to anybody. You can go if you go to search for PyTorch Fundamentals. You Google with Bing, you see there's this guy, and then also this right here. If you go to learn, you can totally get in that. All you need is a Microsoft account. If you have an Outlook account or like Hotmail from the olden days, you have an MSA, you can totally attach to it. And you can see all the things that I've worked on, what level we're on, etc. Okay, let's go back to this, and hopefully it's running. You can see everything is getting out of here. You can see we loaded the data set. You can see we were loading the audio files. You can take a look at the length of the data sets. Looks like there's a problem. If there is a problem, you can go in here and fix it. But the beauty of this thing is that literally you have access to the actual code. Now, the one I wrote that I'm particularly fond of is the introduction. And in here is where we get into stuff like, let me go back here so you can take a look. This part right here is probably my favorite, where you can start to understand what AutoGrad is actually doing and computing gradients and seeing like the coolest thing that the thing I like the most about PyTorch is the notion of a computational graph, right? And it's always W transpose X plus B, right? Over here, and then you like MSE loss, right? The cool thing about this is that inside of every tensor that's produced or generated, you also have the gradient. And that's the cool thing about it, because I don't know, TensorFlow used to have a static graph. They do some stuff now that doesn't have that, but this has always been first principles mathematics on that. And so that's what this is all about. So that is my demo. I don't want to give it all away. I want you all to come here and enjoy it. If there's any problems, like if something breaks, because something looks like it broke right here, not sure what happened here, just let us know. We're happy to fix it. Happy to fix it because again, these are just notebooks and we can totally fix it. All right, that's the end of my particular demo. If you'd like to reach out to me, it's just at Seth Juarez on Twitter or seth.juarez@microsoft.com. All right, Jessica, over to you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you guys for that very thorough walkthrough of like the full PyTorch fundamentals, and then just like diving into how people can get involved in PyLadies. So I actually wanted to ask about, so maybe as we're waiting for some questions, actually I saw that Neil from the audience mentioned that PyLadies actually has a chapter out in San Francisco for those who are watching in the Bay Area. So check that out if you're interested.
Oh,
so
that's cool. I want to go to that.
Nice. Yeah, we were just talking before the show. I think we're all on the West Coast now, so looking for new chapters to join. Yeah, so there's that one. Yeah, I want to ask about new content submissions. So you talked about right now there's PyTorch Fundamentals, and then it covers computer vision, NLP, and audio. So for folks who are going through this path, you mentioned if there are questions with it, like what's a good way for someone to reach out to the team with maybe new topics that they'd like to?
That's a really good question. They can reach out to me directly, just at Seth Juarez or seth.juarez@microsoft.com. We are considering adding more to these. Like, for example, in computer vision, I'm a computer vision guy. We have a lot of good, like, basic stuff, but there's some generative models which are quite fantastic, right? And then, for example, recognizing people and how does that actually work? There's some interesting things that we could do in a new, like advanced PyTorch learning path. And so, yeah, I mean, the thing about it is that this is just like we're doing basically classification, but we're explaining like what's a convolution, using transfer learning and then mobile net, etc. But there's so many more things we could do,
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more to build upon. I think you guys did a good job capturing like the basics. I'm looking here in the questions. Is this a question? Oh, no, we're just suggesting, yeah, people please, if you have questions pertaining to this content or maybe like what you'd like to see, please ask those. Actually, so to Maryanne, do you know, so for PyLadies, so if there's someone who maybe works with an open source Python project and wants to be able to share that with your group, is that something that PyLadies is taking requests for, or how do you guys find those partnerships and find projects to work with?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been to study groups where people have sort of presented what they're working on, but also through working with other groups like scikit-learn and knowing some of the core contributors from that library, there's been kind of like an ongoing open source sprint that they do, but it's definitely something where you can reach out on Twitter. There's also email addresses for any of like the member chapters with the prominent organizers. There are, I think, 5 in New York, so you can just reach out, and it's the kind of thing that PyLadies loves, getting those kinds of getting that kind of presentation, because it shows just the kind of many different things that you can do with Python. Like I have different interests in Python. Machine learning wasn't really something that I was super into, but like going through PyTorch definitely piqued my interest and gave me some new ideas for things that I can sort of explore. But yeah, it's just something like reach out to any of like the member chapter organizers. There's also a global council that you can reach out to. Like they just elected the new global council back in the fall, so it's definitely an organization that's really interested in getting any kind of content, and it's also, even if you're somebody that you don't really know, if you want to like present it to a wider audience, one of the things that we did within our meetups was have people practice their presentations if they were going to give a presentation at a conference. So it's just like it's an opportunity to get practice presenting, and it's also an opportunity to get more engagement from the community and find other people that are interested in your project.
Yeah, it's really neat that they offer so many opportunities. Like the conference talk you're talking about, like helping you with your abstract. I think that's it's a very, very all-encompassing group. So I'm like, maybe I should also join too. It seems like
I thought it was awesome. Like yeah. when I was there hanging out, I was like, this is so cool. I should go to more of these kinds of things. I really do enjoy community based things, because the reality is that people that show up to these things genuinely want to learn this. I've been to conferences where you got to pay like $3,000 to show up, and it's like somebody used that as a reward, for a job well done, and they're not there to learn. They're there to have like a work vacation. I've seen that. This is definitely not that. It's definitely not that. You have a group of people that are genuinely interested in the space, genuinely interested in improving, and it was just a great environment to be part of. There were some questions that I got that were fantastic. I'm like, oh, do y'all want the long or the short answer? And they're like, give us the actual. And we went through and drew something. I don't remember what we were talking about, but I had to like get into some math of what it actually looks like inside of these data structures and inside of the calculus of what's going on. And it was just really cool that someone would even be interested in that,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we are getting a question from someone from the audience. Let's see, let me pull this up.
Oh, I'll show you how to find that. There is let me see if I can find it. There is a cool table in here.
Oh, I think if you go to the main PyTorch website.
Oh, here we go. Main PyTorch. Here, when you go to install, there's like a thing that tells you how to do it for every single version. And I think he's looking at PyTorch 1.10. That's the newer version. So that would probably be the nightly. You can see exactly how to do that if you want to do it with any of these. It looks like you can't use this one. But this is super helpful, by the way. And I run PyTorch on Windows, and it works. And I don't have to think about it. It's fantastic. I'm not kidding you. It's fantastic.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for calling out that table, Seth. Let's see. So we have another comment from Neil. It's actually more related to Pies. But so on Pi Day, the San Francisco PyLadies chapter has had a programming workshop on Python on Raspberry Pis. And served both savory and sweet pies. So yet another reason to join PyLadies. And yeah, make sure to catch them on Pi Day.
But I'll say that's not only unique to the San Francisco chapter, because the New York chapter, the first study session that we did in October of 2018 was kicked off with one of the organizers, Felice, made a bunch of little pumpkin pies. And then she did that the next year. So there's also the possibility of getting actual pie when you attend PyLadies meetups.
So that whole pie thing was not a waste of time to talk about the beginning. It's all coming together.
Yes. We've taken down your preferences and submitted them to PyLadies. So if you're watching in the audience, actually, please comment on your favorite type of pie. We might be able to go to New York City. It's fun. It says Neil. Nice. Well, I guess are there any? I was going to ask about the tutorials. So I came across the quick start. Could you maybe talk a little bit about how that's useful for folks already with machine learning experience from other frameworks? Like how do we help them bridge that gap?
So the idea when we came up with this is we often get this thing where when you want to learn a new thing, and you either want to learn it because you want to bottom up learn it, which is you want to like the fundamentals and sort of fish your way up, and then there's this other situation where you just want to get a thing done, and that's what this quick start is for. The idea is that if you already know like a different framework, and you know what fashion MNIST is, you're going to see that we start with data, download it, then we look at the data loader, and then we load it up and print stuff out, and then we create a model, right? I'd probably, if I could do a pull request, I'd probably change this and put to be more standardized, I'd probably put the operations over here, but we show you how to do a model, right? Which is nice. And it's all just in there. And then you see the output. And then we show you how to optimize the model. I built a train and I built a test function. And that's it. And then you run it and then it's over. And notice that, and then also obviously saving and loading. But basically, this is everything you need to do something in PyTorch right now. And you really don't have to change anything. And if you go to the, I don't know if we have a quick start. If we did the quick start on this one, oh, I think we did. We did the full model building process. You can see that you can literally just do the whole thing and play with it and see what it is that it does. And that's the cool thing, like, because the reality is you have data, you have to find a way to push it into the model, you have to have a model, you have to optimize it, and then you have to save and load it. And we try to show you exactly how to make predictions. Like, here's all the classes. We're in eval mode. Here's some test data. All right, here's the picture and the answer. We predict, we guess, and it guessed ankle boot right. I don't even know what an ankle boot is, if I'm being completely honest. I did not know that your ankles could wear shoes. And so that's the cool part. It recognizes something that I don't even recognize. So that's the purpose of the quick start. If you're just like, I need to like in 10 minutes have a good idea of what it is that it's doing just so I can report on it, great. Or if you need 20 minutes to run through it, then you go over here and you do that. Does that answer your question, Jessica?
Yeah, that's helpful to just show that content's out there. And to the point of the clothing options. So this is actually from the Fashion MNES library, and we actually interviewed Kashif from who was the creator of this library. So for folks who are watching, and these are actual like real libraries, like real data sets, that are used not just in tutorial settings, but that's saying like actual applications that people are using outside of just these tutorial settings. So good to actually
and it's burned into PyTorch too. You can totally use them. These data sets come from PyTorch. You can see from Torch Vision, to be clear. And that's all there. And like we're not, and this is a super important part of it, and I want people to understand. I hope you can see that we're not like injecting any Microsoft isms in this, because when it comes to running things in our cloud, we don't care what you run. The slower, the better. That's a cloud joke because we rent computers now. No, is this not working? Should I do my sound effects? So the idea is that we are interested in all types of code. And so when we wrote this, we were not trying to push a cloud agenda. If you want to take this and learn how to run something in AWS or GCP, that's great. We just want you to be happy because we're in DevRel, right? Don't talk to my marketing or product people, but in DevRel, we want you to be happy. And so you'll notice that as we've gone through, there wasn't like a create an Azure account. The only thing we need to do is we need you to have a Microsoft account so that people don't abuse this, because there's actual machines with GPUs in them. It's not like so we don't want people to start Bitcoin mining or starting to send out, emails or calls that you need to look at your car warranty or something. Because you've all gotten those calls. I know I have.
That's it by here. Well, I think with that, let's wrap it up for today. Thank you guys so much for being on and talking about just this really useful content that people can dive into, and then as well as PyLadies. That's really fun to know that group is out there. And so for folks who are watching, definitely encourage either you joining or encouraging someone in your life who you think would be a good fit for that to take a look at that content. So do you guys have any parting words for the group, or else let everyone know how they can keep in contact with you?
Yeah, for me, just literally reach out to me, Seth.Juarez at Microsoft.com. I'm also on the Twitters. Is that what the kids call it nowadays? The Twitters. I'm not on TikTok because I feel I might be on the edge of being too old so that it makes it weird, but I'm not sure. Let me know if the TikToks is something I should do. But yeah, just Seth.Juarez at Microsoft.com or at Seth Juarez on Twitter.
So on my part, you can reach out to me on Twitter. My handle is eng_amclaire. And then for reaching out to anyone within the larger PyLadies community, so the official website for PyLadies is just PyLadies.com. And if you're interested in specifically the New York chapter, it's nycpyladies.com. And on either of those sites, you should be able to sign up for the Slack. That's probably the most active way to start engaging with people. And also check out the options on Meetup, because that's where some of like the hopefully, in-person events will start being posted. But also Meetup has been used throughout the last, year and a half for online meetups.
Sounds good. So lots of options to get involved. So with that, we're going to sign off. And thanks again for joining us for PTCV. And make sure to like and subscribe so you can stay tuned for these weekly episodes, and hope to have you folks back again with us when new content comes out. So
you bet. Thanks so much.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.